Hello class, my name is Lauren Oliva, and today I'm going to be talking to you on diplomacy and its effectiveness in our current White House. In our approach to diplomacy by the current White House, I'm actually going to take the side and say that our diplomacy has been executed effectively. We've learned in this semester that diplomacy is working internationally with those relations and being basically sensitive to matters and being able to understand and empathize with other people. Diplomacy can even be said to be a way of speaking, and it has a lot to do with relations, relationship building even. I would say a big key component of that, of course, is communicating effectively, making sure that everyone understands what is being said and everyone is also actively listening. So I think that there's a lot of different elements with diplomacy and it being truly effective. But I do want to go over just a few different areas where I feel that our country and our current White House is being effective with their diplomacy. Now, I will just say as kind of a really just a sidebar or just a little note, a little nugget that diplomacy is never always perfectly executed. As we have discussed, throughout the semester, we've seen time and again where U.S. presidents and international governments have failed to miss the mark with diplomacy. Even with our current White House, they've also, missed the mark at times. However, because each of us are human and can fall prey to imperfection, I think to allow failure to reign over success would be ridiculous. And so I think that to give credit to where credit is due is certainly feasible in this whole situation. So a huge point of success, just kind of going right into it with diplomacy, would be that it has been demonstrated greatly and effectively towards North Korea. As you and I both know, North Korea has been a country that for many years it's been untouchable. Untouchable being that it's very hostile, it's been very closed off to the rest of the world, and it's been a country that has just severed communication. It's severed relationships. It's severed any even just inch of diplomacy. And so really with President Trump and our current White House, that has completely changed. There's been no sitting president of the U.S. That has ever met or even visited North Korea at the same time and established peaceful conversations. And to me, that's a huge win for us. That's a huge win, not just for our country and for government, but that's a huge win for diplomacy. I feel like that is truly an embodiment of what diplomacy means, especially within our current day and current culture and dealing with kind of the worst case scenario situation regarding diplomacy. Another area is that through this diplomatic endeavor with North Korea, they've been less hostile. They've released three hostages, that were U.S. citizens. They've also returned the remains of U.S. soldiers from the Korean War. And, if you think about that, if you take a step back, a country that has been hostile for years, who've threatened nuclear attacks, to be able to make that peace, to be able to at least start to bridge the gap between what was, just such evil, honestly. If we're just getting to the heart of the matter, such evilness in their heart, and completely being able to turn that around and seeing that just do a flip is incredible. And honestly, I think that it really shows grace and favor from our president to be able to go and to speak with someone who has for so long disliked us and disliked a lot of the world. And so another thing with that whole North Korean aspect, missile testing hasn't ceased, but through current diplomacy, it has significantly decreased, which is huge as well. As we all know, diplomacy sometimes has to have a tougher approach, of course, depending on the situation. An example of this would be our current diplomacy and the issue of moving the U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem. As a country, we want to be people who stand with Jerusalem. We want to stand with Israel. I believe especially a country that is founded under godly principles. We want to adhere to what the Word says and what God has told us. And I believe that us moving our U.S. Embassy to Jerusalem was a great step in the right direction. And so sometimes diplomacy is standing strong with your ally, which was Israel and is Israel, in the face of extreme opposition from other countries and organizations. We saw a lot of that. If you watched any of the news, when that entire move, that entire negotiation and conversations, when that all happened, that was a huge national thing. And not just in our country, but completely international. People were talking about that. People were looking to the U.S. to see what they would do. Would they cave under pressure to other countries and their threats, or other organizations and their threats? Or would they stand for what's right from what their founders put forth on American soil? And so I will say that when we made that move and we stepped forward in obedience, I couldn't be more prouder as an American. I couldn't be more prouder to stand for Israel, to stand for Jerusalem. And so another example would be the current diplomacy with Mexico and helping to stop illegal immigration from Central America. As we all know, our current White House is very concerned with the illegal immigration that has been coming into our country, and the implications and effects of illegal immigration on our country, on our economy, on our healthcare, on our crime, just our general welfare as well. So illegal immigration is a big, big thing. And so working with other countries to help secure our borders and to secure our people, to protect our people, is huge. And so our U.S. president working with the Mexican president in order to reduce the number of illegal immigrants coming into America is certainly another example of diplomacy being executed effectively, in my opinion. And really, our current approach to diplomacy has also increased international trades and international trade deals. New deals have been struck with companies like Japan, the United States, Mexico, Canada agreement, and there's been several other European countries as well. So our importing and exporting has, it's gotten better through that diplomacy, through those relationships that we've built. And I think that honestly, it will continue to get better. Like I said earlier, there has never been diplomacy carried out perfectly always implemented perfectly, because we're humans. You and I, we can make mistakes. We can say things that are wrong. We can allow our emotions to rule our discipline and to overrule policy. But when we get it right, we get it right. And I think that we truly need to celebrate those wins. We need to celebrate the good in our country, the things that God is moving in our lives and moving through our president. No matter what affiliation you are, no matter what side of the camp you find yourself on, and you're a believer, I believe that God will do some wondrous works in our country if we will humble ourselves and obey Him. And so I've been really excited to learn more about diplomacy. I honestly didn't know much about it going into this class, and this semester has really opened my eyes to what diplomacy is, a little bit more of how I, even as a citizen, play into our country and our role, and as a citizen, what I can do to be a better American, to serve my fellow man even more. And so I've really, really enjoyed learning about diplomacy and learning just really about our life and our culture and how we can be better stewards of what we've been given. So I hope that this was at least a little bit, understanding of what we've been talking about. And I hope too that I can continue to learn more about diplomacy and continue to dive into what's going on in our world. So I want to thank you all for listening, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.